Hello and welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London. And you can find me on Instagram as Skeindeer, and I am Skeindeer Knits as a designer on Ravelry. And Skeindeer Knits is also the name of my Ravelry group, Skeindeer Knits, which is the best place to take part in knit-alongs, the Skeindeer Knits community, and get questions, help with patterns, talk to other people who are knitting my patterns, even if you're not taking part in knit-alongs. All that stuff is just like that kind of Skeindeer Knits hub. So yeah, welcome to my knitting podcast, knitting talk show, knitting chatter place. This is where I usually sit and talk about knitting for about an hour every week, but I'm not sure if I'm on any sort of schedule at the moment. Yeah, so I literally just got home from Norway. I returned last night after having spent 2 weeks in both Trondheim, my hometown, and Oslo to see my friends. And yeah, it's good to be back, I think. I mean, it's like, I am so torn. Like, I am not, I'm going to get into the meat of the podcast in a bit. I am really torn, not between Trondheim, my hometown, and London, but between my plans of living somewhere in the UK and Oslo. And it's like, oh, can I just live both places? Like, I mean, that may be possible actually. I don't know. We'll see. So I really enjoyed being in Oslo, if you can't tell, and it was kind of bittersweet coming back to London, even though I'm sure it just gave me a couple of days. I've been right into the swing of things. It'll be fine. Yeah, so for returning viewers, welcome back. That's basically what I've been up to. To new viewers, I don't usually open up by talking about my life, but it's just kind of what's fresh on my mind. I am literally just kind of getting back in, yeah, into the swing of things. I have never spent this many hours preparing to start recording a podcast. It's like nearly 3 o'clock. I usually am done by 12. I don't know. I'm just really out of the loop. So bear with me. I'm just gonna have to take it slow. We can talk about what I'm wearing. I am wearing a shawl design of mine. This is Solverv. So that translates to solstice, and I released this as part of my summer collection, which composed of 4 unique patterns. So 2 summer tops and a pair of lace socks and this shawl. And I named this shawl kind of cleverly. I called it Solverv, kind of to match all the other sol names of the patterns. That means sun. But Solverv obviously being solstice, being twice a year. You can wear it in the summer when the summer nights gets a bit chillier, and in the winter, which is what I've been doing a lot. I should also point out that while it's part of a collection, it's individually available, unlike most of my collections. So yeah, I've been wearing this non-stop. It was the only shawl I brought with me as a scarf or whatever in Norway, where you kind of have to wear these every day if you're going to go out. So yeah, I live in this now. And it's made with Snelden 4-ply yarn, which is a sort of fingering weight Faroese yarn. But yeah, it's a lot of yarns that are possible to use with this, and I have recommended those in the pattern, I think. So yeah, so what are we going to talk about today? Let's see, let's check my notes. I'm going to talk about my new patterns. I'm going to talk about knit-alongs that I am running. I am also going to hand out prices for past knit-alongs, but not all of them. And then I'm going to talk about one project I finished, a couple of projects I'm working on, and then it's going to be a sort of substantial acquisition section, because I got a few things in the mail just before going to Norway for the holidays, and I picked up a few things there, and of course I got Christmas presents. So yeah, I'm gonna try and cover all of that. So it's a bit of everything today. Yeah, first of all, new patterns. I did already talk about the sweater hug pattern last time, which I recorded in my sister's apartment in Trondheim. I just wanted to just briefly cover it again, just because now that I know that actually a lot of people got the pattern, I can wholeheartedly tell you thank you so much. Last time I had pre-recorded, so I was just like thanking hypothetical buyers, but of course now I know what a incredible success that pattern was. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't usually like to talk about like sales and stuff like that, but like that's one of the few patterns that have like had that much, I guess, just yeah, purchases, basically number of purchases in the first day. That was incredible. I did not expect that. So whoa, thank you so much. that's just, I honestly was not prepared for that. It was launched on Christmas Day, and I thought it's just so many people are busy that day. It's just going to be one of those things. And I'm like, that number can't be right. And I was like, yeah. So I'm really pleased to say that a good portion of that, I think it was 25% of the purchases, will be donated to the Samaritans, which is a mental health charity here in the UK, which basically is there for you if you need to talk to someone, if you're in emotional distress, if you're having, say, suicidal ideation, anything like that, you just need to talk to someone. You can call up their number. Samaritan's phone number is usually always available. Yeah, just for you to talk to someone. And I've heard lots of great things about them for people who have used them as a charity. So I'm really happy that we are able to donate to them. And this was all part of Yarn Cafe Creations, who was part of the Girls in Yarn Cafe, and her sort of 1 month, one designer a day kind of thing, and one design coming out from a different designer every day project, where everyone donated, I think, either at least $1 per pattern or 25% per pattern, I'm not entirely sure, to a charity that is to do with suicide prevention. So it's quite special in that regard, and it does kind of fit my kind of thoughts around the pattern as well, which it was kind of planned before I knew what it would be made for. I didn't know it would go to this project when I first had the idea of it. I just thought this yarn, the mood of this sweater, everything, it's a sweater hug, it's a comfort garment, it's just really, really nice. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the topic here. I'm going to put writing in the corner that I'm talking about the topic, so if you want to mute this part, you don't want to hear about me talking about the purpose of the charity, the theme of this, you know, the whole aspect of mental health and suicide, you can just mute that out if you don't, because it's deeply personal to a lot of people, and it's a lot for me to start off a episode talking about. So if you're just here for the kind of more superficial nitty stuff, you can just kind of put on mute, skip through the episode until that little tag is gone. That's completely fine, each to their own, I think. So okay, don't make silly jokes now, Ellie. This is not, it's just one of those things. I think the topic of suicide and actual, suicide affects a lot of people, that's what I'm trying to say. It has been a theme in my life for a long time. I have known people who have been suicidal. I have essentially been their suicide watch. I have lost people to suicide. I've had family members who have been suicidal. It's been a theme a lot, and I'm not talking about that to be like getting pity points and anything like that. I'm just saying I don't think I'm unique there at all. I don't think I've just been particularly unlucky to know something. No, I think this is really common, and it's not very much talked about, because if it affects you, it's really scary to talk about because of how other people are going to react. And if it affects other people in your life, you don't talk about it because that's respecting their privacy, and so we don't usually talk about it. And I guess I just want to put a few words in here just to say that you are not alone, like regardless of if you're the one going through it, or if you know someone going through it, or if you have in the past. It is really, really common. There is some sort of comfort in the numbers, whereas also the numbers are actually quite alarming. And that's both true. And one other thing I could not have obviously anticipated when launching this pattern on Christmas Day is that later, the very same day, we were told in Norway that one of the members of the royal family had committed suicide. And it's like, and it's just one of those things that is really, I don't know how to explain it to, if you are from a country or a culture or something that is quite vast, but, and I don't know what that's like obviously, but being from Norway, it is such a small country and such a connected little place with just like 5 million people. So when something like that happens in the royal family, and it doesn't matter really how you feel about royalty, it it's like a family of the country, and it's something that really affects people. Like, regardless of how you feel about the people and the system and all that stuff is completely irrelevant. It's just something like, wow, it's as if it happens to someone in your area. It just feels like that. And it just kind of becomes this sort of collective mourning, and it has led to a very important conversation in the country about suicide and what we can do as a society, what we can do as fellow people. And it became a thing I felt like commenting on, because it just so happened to happen on the very same day as that pattern launch that was part of donating to a charity. So it makes me all the more happier to be able to donate to that charity, because that is often the thing that comes up when these things happen, is that people say you need to seek help, ask for help, and then someone else says, but there has to be help available. And so that's what I'm really glad that we were able to do there. Yeah, just kind of want to put a few words out there to do with that. Gosh, there was a lot of things I want to say, and now it's all gone. So I think I'm going to swiftly move on and talk about more sort of cheerful things again. Just want to give, you know, massive virtual hugs to everyone, basically. Yeah, so the other pattern that came out, that's got just complete change of topic now, it's the last pair of mittens in the Cyber Mitten Club. I did tell you they would be my favourites, and they are. I mean, look at them. So yeah, that wraps up the club. I will wrap up the knit along properly at the end of February, because as with the past, I usually would launch these at the 1st of December, it's just that everything were delayed a month this time. And then I would reason that people are busy in December, so I would give an extra month, so things will go on until the end of January. Obviously that doesn't really make sense anymore, but you know, people still were probably busy in December, so I'm gonna add that bonus month this time as well. Plus, February is a pretty short month, so you get until the end of February to finish the mittens if you want to knit any of them. And that's when we're going to do the prize draw for that knit along. So just want to hold up these mittens once more. They're made in Cyber Spinnery yarn cruise, and they have a lot of other yarns in the same weight, so you could use those as well if you are so lucky to come across their yarns. But if you can't, which I will admit is not easy to get their yarns, you can use, you know, the usual suspects: Finull, Vilje, Ask, Tove, Shetland yarns, any sort of fingering weight 2-ply woolen spun yarn, really. This is the back side. This is what they look like under the thumb. You know, it's very important to get all these aspects shown. I'm really proud of them. I love how they look in this yarn, this natural coloured yarn. This is a natural white and a natural black from the black, I think, Bladet Garn, which is a sheep breed in Norway, especially in Trøndelag, where I'm from. And I believe the white is just a regular white Norwegian sheep, which is kind of a composite breed of 4 breeds, but that's besides the point. So I'm really happy how that looks. I'm loving making cyber mittens in naturally coloured fibres. Like, I'm not someone who's just like uses the word natural all the time just to mean nothing. I'm literally meaning this was not dyed, it just looks this way, and it just looks right. It just looks like an authentic cyber mitten, which is really nice to be able to let you guys knit, basically. I mean, that's always been the project with cyber mittens, and sometimes I forget to kind of bring you all along with the story of where it started and what the purpose of it has always been, to just bring it out to the people. It's been something that's been quite hard to access for a lot of people. It's been quite a thing that many knitters don't feel like they are in a place where they can do, because first of all, it's hard to get the patterns, it's hard to get them translated to a language you understand, and it's hard to get them explained enough so that you can understand them. More often than not, you'll have to go to Norway, get a Norwegian pattern that's like 1 paragraph, and most of what it tells you is cast on X number of stitches and knit after chart. And it's like, that's great if you know how to knit mittens. Like, I love following patterns like that. They are my favorites because I can work everything else out myself. But if you can't. It's just that little extra hurdle, and I've been wanting to kind of break that hurdle and give everyone the opportunity and confidence to make mittens like these, ranging from the bulky weight speedy mittens to this sort of more fine weight tight knitted mittens basically. So we got the whole range. The whole range is both in this year's club, well technically last year's now, and the 2018 club, and the 2017 club covered DK weight, so it kind of just sort of depends on what you're looking for. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm going to bring it up anyway because I've had a few people wanting, basically people who are discovering me and what I do in the mittens right now, and they're like, oh no, don't finish the cyber mittens, and I'm like, guys, I've been running it for 3 years. There's only so many times I can do it and be inventive and creative, and I could do this forever, but at some point people are going to have had enough cyber mittens, and I want to explore other areas, other kind of cultures that I have ties to, and present those in knitting. And the clubs are still there, like they haven't, you know, expired. They are still very much available. And so what I have set up for people who kind of are discovering my patterns in retrospect is if you actually buy all 3 clubs at the same time, you will get I think it's a 20% discount, so you will save a considerable amount of money from those 3 clubs because there are collections and not just single patterns. And anything else you add in the cart at the same time will also have that 20% discount applied. Just to say thank you, because I know that's a crazy amount. I mean, it's not crazy. It's just a significant amount that I don't take for granted, so I just want to give that back for anyone who is discovering this stuff in retrospect. The patterns are not old by no means. Like, they are the way I would write the patterns today. I have gone back retrospectively and made improvements, and also there are people still knitting them. I get tagged all the time on Instagram where people have made the very first patterns to the very last, and I see new projects popping up on Ravelry, which is just, it makes me so happy. Guys, please do share on Ravelry on projects. I love being able to browse the projects and just see just how many there are, and see the photos and the different colours and different yarns and different people wearing them. That is the best part about designing. Like, easily the best part is when people have knitted the patterns and I can see how they work out, and just, yeah, it makes me happy. So that's kind of, yeah, the last salute for the last cyber mitten club. Done the 3rd one now. Keep saying it's the last. I mean, I may just change my mind or whatever, but I don't think I will. I think I will do something else from now on. 3 rounds, pretty good going. You got a lot of patterns to play around with now, so thank you all so much. Wow, that was like a lot of, I was just feeling like a lot of feelings in the last thank you. Maybe I should elaborate. It's been quite significant. Apparently this is like the emotional episode. I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry. But I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now if it weren't for the cyber mitten club. I just dabbled making one cyber mitten pattern. People kept making them again and again. So I made more versions. I made different designs. I turned it into a club. It got really popular. People really liked it. I really wanted to do it again, exploring different yarn weights. I did that. It was a massive hit, and I've been able to do it once more this time as well. And it's just, I really have, I feel like, perfected it. And not only that, but it's led me into a path of designing where I can honestly say I am a knitting pattern designer. It's been because of these mittens. It's been because of these designs. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. Like, I would have just been doing something else. I don't know where I'd been without these mittens, without this club and your guys' support. So thank you. It's not just any club that's wrapping up. It's like the thing that I do, and I'm like kind of scared. Like, what am I going to do without it? What am I gonna... Oh dear. Oh wow. Existential crisis looming. Ooh. Okay. We're moving on to other things. So what knit-alongs are happening now? I'm spending a lot of time on the knit-alongs. If you are just watching and not doing the knit-alongs, I'm just sorry. It's gonna be a quick one. Don't worry. Doing the first ever Skeindeer Garment knit-along of 2020. And I am floored by the participation, the enthusiasm that I've seen, both on Ravelry and on Instagram. I'm going to try to be good and run them on both. Prize draws will happen in the group for purely practical reasons, but if you just want to post on Instagram with the hashtag, you know, Skeindeer MKAL 2020. I did write it down in the group and on my Instagram post about it, so you can see there. Basically anything eligible is what is in my garment bundle on Ravelry. I link to my design page below. It's very important that you go to that page and not to like the store tab. A lot of people end up there and it's really messy. Regardless of what designer you're looking at, you always want to make sure to go to the like actual portfolio site, the one that I'm going to link to for mine. And anything in the bundle called garments is eligible. So obviously new things will be added to that bundle throughout the year, so there will be more eligible patterns, but yeah, so far it's the ones that are there. And yeah, rules and stuff in the Ravelry group, basically just cast on, be done at the end of the year. You can use previous projects as well, just make sure you haven't made so much progress that it seems a little bit unfair to participate with. I set a 50% mark, so as long as the project, like, you're going to be making a majority of it this year, I think that'll be fine. I look forward to see what you make. If you're going to be wearing any of the garments, an emphasis on garments, not accessories, but if you're going to wear any of the garments at Vogue Knitting Live New York City, I'm going to be there and I'm going to be handing out those Knitography Skeindeer Progress Keepers that Patricia made for me. So yeah, I hope I'm not going to run out. They will. I just want to make it perfectly clear they'll go out to garments. I've just put that restriction, so it's not going to apply to mittens, socks and shawls and stuff, on hats, just the garments, so I can safely say I have enough. Because you don't want to be wearing like shawls and mittens inside anyway, like it's going to be a knitting festival. Like, it's pretty crazy. I've been there before. Anyway, I'm getting derailed. I think we're done with the KALs, because we've already covered the Mitten Club and the Mitten Club is still running, and I've not covered the ones I'm going to wrap up. Okay, so we're going to do KAL prices. And then I'm going to get into what I've been knitting on. Okay, so cool. Yes, KAL prices. Boo! Drawing winners. Sun is setting. I'm going to turn off the light now because it's actually getting really dark. Ooh, there we are. So I'm going to be drawing prices for the Kofteboken KAL that has wrapped up. We had lots of entries for people who have made themselves massive colorwork coat-agains, and I applaud you for just having done it. Like, that's it. It's just, I don't know, I'm really proud of the pattern. I love wearing it. And it's like, it's quicker than you think. I keep saying that, and I've been told that by other people who made them as well. So I drew 2 winners. I'm gonna mention the first one, like the main winner, I guess, and then I just decided to draw another one because I actually do have quite a lot of prices, which is good because the Julaften prices will not be drawn yet because I just opened the FO thread because I am organized like that. And obviously the Cyber Meeting Club prices have not been drawn yet, so there's just more over there. But for now I'm going to announce 4 winners, 2 for Kofteboken and then 2 for the yellow Mittelong. That's the one. So okay, Kofteboken, the first winner is, so I'm going to put that on screen because I can't pronounce things, but Sinotim. You get this bag, and this is a bag that was one of the many I was given or donated to from Tina Höglund. She is Stickisilla, she's published a lot of books, like she's just brilliant. I'm working on a lot of her patterns. This crazy yarn lady. So that's a project bag, but inside here there are some other things that she added, which is this little pouch of washing instructions for, or just care instructions generally for wool in Norwegian. So it's a good thing you are Norwegian, because there's another Norwegian price in here as well, which is no longer in production even, I think. Strikk med gradienter. It's a Norwegian book of patterns with gradients. Yeah, I have a pattern in here, in case you didn't know already. Hey, there we are. So I got a pattern in here. Get that on Ravelry as well, but it's in this book, and you, obviously if you already have it, do let me know, because it is a very rare thing now and I want to give it to someone who don't already have it. But assuming you don't, this is your price. There's one more thing in here that was more recently donated, and I really just want to give a pretty considerable price to like the kind of winner number 1, if you will. This is Ram Jam yarn. So this is the yarn that I used for the Sildra mittens in the current Cyber Mitten Club. I love it. This is one of those yarns, again, it's just naturally coloured and it just looks right when you make mittens with it. So it was donated from Farm to Cable Yarns. I'm going to include that in here. They're on Instagram as Farm to Cable Yarns as well, and I'm just really grateful for such an amazing price. I love Daughter of a Shepherd yarns. It's just really nice yarn. It's just real stuff, and I just remember making the cylinder mittens in this yarn. It was so rewarding. I was kind of having a moment, just freaking out, just like, this is perfect, this is just turning out just right. That's me when I knit. So it's a considerable price pile, this one. There's, you know, the tote bag, the wool care instructions, the pattern book, and 2 skeins of really nice yarn. So I hope you will enjoy that. Do get in touch with me, send me a message on Ravelry with your address, and I will have it shipped to you hopefully very soon. So that's Tim. Tim. What do I know? The kind of runner-up winner, if you will, is Stitch Mistress. So this is your kind of slightly smaller Crazy Yarn Lady bag, and there's a bag inside the bag because of course it's this kit from Frame and Fiber, which is a super yarn shop in New Jersey run by Paige, who is awesome, and she donated this to me quite a while ago. And it's a really big project bag with this sort of bottle cap pattern, which is really cool, and 2 skeins of yarn. I think it might be Cascade, and it's just really good to make any of my DK weight mittens. If that's what you want to do, you can also do from other designers' patterns, but you know, I'm obviously going to plug myself. So yeah, it's basically a nice set of a considerably sized project bag and 2 skeins of DK weight, 2 worsted weight yarns inside this Crazy Yarn Lady bag. So again, send me a message on Ravelry and I'll try to get on top of that inbox and have this sent out to you. Okay, we've got only 2 prizes left. I'm going to get into the nitty gritty. It's just one of those episodes. It's a little bit of a kind of a year roundup thing. So yeah, got 2 winners for the year-long knit-along. So I'm going to do the big kind of prize for it. I mean, they're both kind of good actually. I'm just looking at them now. They're pretty good, both of them. The first winner we have is Christina T, if you will. And she's getting this amazing project bag. I actually got one just like it from the maker and it's just gorgeous. I love this. It's just the whole mitten theme. Obviously I had to give that away to the year-long knit-along. It's got this sort of burgundy little bead hanging there as well. And of course I put something in it because I am me, and that's can't just give away one thing. So inside here is this gorgeous skein that I've been holding on to for a while, but it was part of a sort of, here's a lot of things, keep some of it and give some of it away to knit-along prizes. And I kept a project bag and then I gave away 1 skein, and then I was like, oh, I do want to keep this one, but I'm gonna give it away. It is a non-superwash yarn that kind of blooms up to more of a sport weight yarn, but I think you can knit it as a fingering weight sock yarn as well. But it's really special in the sense that it's quite tonal and non-superwash. I love the feel of it. Oh, this is just... It's no wonder I love it. It's 75% Corriedale and Tunis wool. I'm not sure what Tunis wool is, but that sounds nice. And 25% nylon, so it's quite strong. It's... yeah, and it's by Twisted Threads. The logo's kind of faded a bit, but yeah, Twisted Threads hand-dyed yarn. I love this. If I could get my mitts on more of this base, this yarn, the colour, it's just yeah. So that's gonna go into this bag. It's just a gorgeous price. I would have wanted to have this myself. So do get in touch with me, send me a message on Ravelry with your address. I will get this out hopefully very quickly. The last prize I have to give out to the year-long knit-along is quite a considerable amount as well. I had a lovely person sew me 3 project bag, all London themed, and I'm just like, wow, thanks. So one of those gonna go out to this winner, along with 4 skeins dyed by Arctic Yarns. So these are all 50 grams each, and they are sort of sport to DK weight. So they are in the basis Sol and Tinde. Tinde is the pelt wool, Sol is the lamb's wool. And so yeah, you basically can do 2 pairs of mittens here. And the winner seemed really appropriate. Now I'm using random number generator for all of these, but the winner made so many mittens. I think this is going to go to a very like worthy home. This is to, I'm going to see if I can read what I wrote. Pizzella. Basically the person who made all the mittens, just so many. I'm going to again write it on here. Please just send me a message on Ravelry. I'll send this out to you. You get the project bag, you get 4 hand-dyed Norwegian yarn skeins that are all from the amazing Amelia of Arctic Yarns. I think the yarns are getting like increasingly harder to get hold of because she's just, you know, she's just doing a lot of stuff. So it's gonna be hard to give away. Why did I give them away? Anyway, I've said it now, so just get in touch. You get the yarns and the bag. Congratulations everyone. So next roundup is going to be probably when I do Julaften, and I might do that at the same time as Help Mittens, but probably not because it's going to be much later. So yeah, it's nice to have that summarized, and we can finally talk about knitting. Like half an hour into the podcast, we can talk about what I made. And annoyingly, I don't have the project that I have finished. I don't even have a photo. So what am I going to say about it? I did the Into the Woods sweater by Pickles. It was kind of a coincidence that I ended up choosing Pickles, who are based in Oslo. They're from Norway. And what's the story here? I told you kind of the story last time. But basically, I was making this really fabulous cable sweater for one of my friends, who, by the way, really loved it. He really, truly understood just the sheer amount of work that was. He wasn't just like, oh, it's just another knitting thing that Ellie made. It was like, oh my god. Like, he was just having a moment. It was very cute. He's a good egg. We are still friends after 22 years. And further now that he appreciates the sweater. I'm just being cheeky. Yeah, he really liked it. And my other friend got this Calibrate sweater that I done. So, first friend got the Oyster sweater by Michelle Wong. My other friend got the Calibrate sweater by Kate Davies that was made in Jacob yarn from Garthenor. And then I was like left with this third friend who I have actually promised for a long time to make a sweater. He even bought me a sweater quantity once that I nearly finished and then just lost the whole mojo with it. And I thought, well, I finished this cable sweater way earlier than I thought I would, so I'm just going to get started on the sweater that I was going to complete from Kristen of Wollenvine, the one that she was going to make to her husband that I bought from her because she didn't want to finish it in the yarn. I'm talking too fast. And it had some errors that basically made me not want to do that, plus it was really thick yarn for that gauge. Like I completely empathize with Kristen for not wanting to complete that because the yarn is thicker than it says. It's a lot thicker. So I would say it's like Aran bordering chunky. It's not worsted. So that was Peace Fleece worsted, which is lovely. And I browsed Ravelry and I found this pattern from Pickles called Into the Woods. And it's like a really short pattern. I like to print out my patterns double-sided, so I get 2 pages on one side and then 2 on the other side, and that was basically the Norwegian side and the English side, so that was really convenient. And I just powered through it, you know, through the cinema, through my flights, and essentially in the last, I didn't finish in time, so everyone else got the jumpers, and then I was like, in addition to all like the sweets and tea and stuff I bought you, I also got your jumper. I'm just working on it, so I'm just gonna knit on it now. But this is what I got right now, and he was really happy. And then I went to visit him the day after, and I kept on knitting on it until he was like, I think it's bedtime for me, like, you know, I should leave. And I was like, you know what, I'm about ready to bind off. So I was just binding off the neckline and it was done. He has got it, but I have no photos, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But I did ask him to provide photos in time, so hopefully we will have photos in time. I'm also gonna hopefully get photos of the cable sweater on a person. I've got very pretty friends, so that's just going to be really lovely. So yeah, 3 garments given away. Yeah. So segueing into whips, I'm sure you're wondering, well, what happened to that yellow cardigan, Ellie? Did you finish it in time? Did you? I did not. Here we have it. Oh god. I don't know what's happening with my mum's hand-sewn bags, but suddenly they're becoming increasingly harder to open. Okay, so clearly it's not done, but I showed my sister. I showed it in the morning of Christmas Eve, and in Norway we usually give away presents on Christmas Eve evening, so she already knew that it wasn't going to be done. I'm such a buzzkill in that way. So what we got now is the same cardigan you've seen before, only I ripped out the way too big sleeves because I realized that all the stuff I said previously about the pickup rate and stuff, I was completely wrong. Because you will remember the sleeve I had, this is clearly knitted with like frogged yarn. It was a lot bigger than this. Because I argued that the pickup rate, when you pick up along, you know, rows, pick up stitches along rows, you should pick up 2 stitches per 3 rows. That's usually the ratio, depending on your row gauge, but whatever. Usually that's the ratio. And yeah, that would be true, only I'd forgotten that you do short rows with these sewing sleeve caps, so that means that every stitch will have 2 rows, and that, I didn't think about that. That's not What you should do, of course, is pick up 1 stitch for every other row, so then you do 2 rows that correspond to 2 rows. Like this, it's just not rocket science, Ellie. But I just told you all the wrong thing, and I'm sorry. I'm not sorry like to imply that the pattern was wrong, because the pattern was way more accurate than I was. But the pattern does like state that you knit in terms of like inches and centimeters rather than the rows, so I still found that I needed to pick up slightly more rows to get that right, but that was just tiny things. So I did follow my favorite method of picking up, which is by Elizabeth Dorothy. So it does kind of have slightly more width at the top. You make some sort of clever short rows at first, and then you just do the usual down here, and then you start knitting some things together. It's just a really cool method from her top down book that she published with Quince & Co. I think it's called like Top Down Reimagined or Reinvented or something along those lines. It's really good, and that worked out really a lot better. I ran out of yarn for this one. This is what I frogged, and you can see just how much yarn, I mean how much length I got when I had so many fewer stitches that actually suited the recipient size, because I was like down here at first with this amount of yarn, and I'm like down here. So it's just follow the pattern and don't be like me. Like I was not. Yeah, anyway, so this sleeve is also getting quite long, and still it's looking like it's a little bit big on her, but I think it's better that it's this way than me just completing the larger sleeves. She was really happy with the larger sleeves as well. She just wanted it done, and I'm like, I'm just not happy with it. I'm not going to give you something I'm not happy with, so this is just how it's going to be. So I'm going to finish it when I'm in London now, obviously, and I'm just going to mail it to her. And it was really good that I got the chance to try this on her, because she had a few opinions about like how the button bands kept flapping around. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to be a grown up this time and tack down the steek properly. Yeah, I do that sometimes when it's kids. And then I'm just going to sew on the buttons, obviously complete the sleeves, and it will be done. I'm going to send it to her, and I'll just call that the Christmas present of last year, even though it will probably be done by like February. Yeah, I'm a good sister, what can I say? So that's what's happening there. This is knitted in Usk by Hillesvåg, and I like it. I want one myself. Maybe not this pattern, just because now I've done it and I really liked it, but I want to explore other things. So yeah, Amelia cardigan by, I think, Elin Berglund, that's her name. So just, you'll hear more about that when I'm closer to done. We're just like at one of those places now where just like, I made a mistake, I'm not happy with it, I'm frogging back and doing it again. And it's interesting to think about these things. It's like, I think it's just like a phase that you go through as a knitter. Obviously the more you knit, the faster you become, but I don't think that's the main reason. We just get to a place where we just are very good at being able to predict our future emotions in terms of reacting to how we're going to feel about having frogged something we spent a lot of time doing. And the sleeve caps took a long time. Obviously I had way more stitches than I needed to have, so it took a long time, and it wasn't great to frog that back, but it also really didn't bother me as much as it may have done a few years ago, when I felt like I would almost continue knitting on something I wasn't happy with. And obviously as I made lots of projects, I have learned from that I'm just not going to be happy with something that I suspect I'm not happy with while I'm working on it. And it's like a cool place to arrive at. But that's not to say that you should frog everything that you're not happy with, because there is something to be said for leaving mistakes in as well, and just be like, you know what, it's handmade. This is part of the process of it being handmade. And I think finding that balance that's just right for you is like something like that's quite pivotal to being a knitter, like in terms of your like almost crafty identity. I don't know, maybe I'm just waffling on now, but I think it's just like a cool place to get to. Knowing when to frog and not to frog is like, you have reached peak in your like you have peaked at your craft or something. I don't know what I'm saying. I kind of find it fascinating that I didn't think about it anymore. I didn't like wonder if I should frog. I was just like, yeah, it's not right, I'm frogging, and it's like an error that is to the extent that I'm gonna fix it. Whereas a lot of other errors, I'm like, it doesn't matter. And maybe finding like that it doesn't matter thing is the key thing. I don't know. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to be happy with it. Yeah, that's a good way of thinking of it. You have to be happy with it. You're not trying to impress anyone else. You just want to be happy with what you're working on, because that's what knitting is about. Like, sure, I'm making a lot of stuff for other people, but they can't make me knit just anything. Like, I have to want to. That's just how it is. So that's always going to be what matters in the end. It's not all the rules and perfectionist. So you just have to like it. Some things just aren't that complicated. Anyway, yes, I did cast on a project that I showed you last time, and it looks a lot more like a sweater this time, so I'm going to show you again. It's getting really dark. I'm glad I have a really good camera, because it's seriously... Is it going to get dark this quickly? Like, come on. Like, I thought it was a point of leaving Norway for London, but guess not. Yeah. So I'm working on the Calibrate sweater, which is an upcoming pattern by Alex of Spindles and Stitches. She's working on her very first garment pattern, very first pattern at all. She's usually a dyer of spinning fibre, and she's decided to just design a sweater that is completely customizable, in the sense that you just put in your measurements and it will give you this stitch count, different parts, and like increase and decrease rates. I'm not saying it's like a completely customizable to all your proportions, but it does have that more so than other patterns. Like, I'm still going to encourage like some more individual modifications if that's what you are, if that's what you want. But for some things, like just the ratio of various circumferences and lengths, it does a really good job of just doing that for you, in terms of just using an Excel spreadsheet that you will get with a pattern, I think. So this is my progress right now. I'm using PT5, which is a sport weight yarn, also called Sport. I talked a bit about that last week, whatever. And it's in my favourite burgundy colourway. The first burgundy I ever fell in love with. It does feel very superwashy. It's not like a very nice superwash feel. It's a definite, like, this is stiff kind of feeling. So I'm hoping some of that's going to come out a bit as I'm wearing it and as I washed it, and it's just going to line a bit better, but it's not like squishy soft. It's just kind of like, it's just coated in plastic, isn't it? Kind of soft, which is often how superwash is done. Not always, but most of the time, really. But I look forward to, I talked about this before, but actually I'm looking forward to having a few superwash garments, because I just, it's things you don't need to know about me, but I'm kind of a little bit sweaty. So wearing pure wools that are self-rinsing are really nice, but I tend to prefer those as layering pieces, like cardigans and stuff that I can get very easily hot in but just take off just as easily. Whereas a superwash garment is not that hot, and I will more confidently wash it with a slightly higher temperature or rough treatment than I would with a non-superwash, to get that little smell out of it. So it's just pros and cons of it, really. It's kind of my argument for having a little bit of superwash in my wardrobe, despite my feelings around plastic coated yarns. You're just never going to find me having an absolute opinion on anything. I will just always look at pros and cons and consider that things can have both good and bad aspects to it. And yeah, so that's where I'm at right now, just working down the body, and yeah, I guess you'll hear more about that later. So I'm enjoying it. It's a good sort of, I'm at a very simple stockinette part of the pattern right now, so it's just easy to bring around and work with people, and like when I'm hanging out with people. I'm gonna switch on the lights now, just gonna get a bit more yellow, but I'm not, like, it's just getting really dark, it's getting ridiculous. Hang on. So yeah, a little bit better. Now I look blue. How is that gonna, how I put on the yellow light and now I look blue, whatever. So I have mostly acquisitions to show you now. There's one more work in progress that I have right here. I could show you now, but it's part of my acquisition, so I'm just gonna talk about it all as we are getting into it. So first of all, I want to talk about the things that arrived in my mailbox through the door, really. It's the UK. Just before I went to Norway. One of the things making me really sad and really happy at the same time is the 10th and final Bladet Garn. Why did they have to leave us? Why did they have to quit? but it is also really, really big, and I'm so happy that they just have this like 10th Bladet Garn anniversary big issue. I just wish it wasn't the last, you know. But let's talk about it. It's full of gorgeous garments. I mean, this is by Linda Marveng, and she's brilliant. Like, she makes art. She's just like next level. Well, anyway, so there's a lot of really good stuff in here. This is the lookbook, obviously. I'm going to show you just a little bit of art. If you want to see it closer, it's always usually on display on Ravelry. And just, there's a lot of people who are like regular designers in the magazine who have patterns in here again now, because it's an anniversary edition. So you want to have the regular designers. Doesn't that look familiar? It's, I mean, it's not me, but it's my design. Yeah, in Brusker yarn by Retrosaria. Yeah, so that's in here. Now you're probably going to ask me, like, is it in English? Is it available? I don't think they translated this one. I do think you can buy it digitally on Ravelry. I'm not sure about that, but you definitely can't buy the print anymore, because this was only on pre-order, because they are closing. So there's no point in them selling it. So that's. But the plus side of that is that I'm going to be able to publish my pattern in here a lot quicker than I usually am. So stay tuned for that. It's not coming right now, but it will come fairly soon. Also, in addition to these patterns, they also have some like highlights from previous 9 issues, including my Snövotted. So they are here and they're included because I've had 2 patterns published with them in the past. I've had the Snövotted and I've had the Isbre sweater. Now they're both individually available on Ravelry. Actually go really well together. Fun fact. I just like grey. What can I say? So it's kind of bittersweet. I'm gonna miss them. I mean, Lane are no longer doing individual issues either, and Bladet Garn are quitting, and I'm kind of like, well, thanks. My favourites are gone. But I'm trying to look at the positives, and the good news is that I don't have to feel like I have to cast on everything from the latest issue of either of these 2 favourites of mine, because, well, I have the past issues for starters, and I'm not up to speed with those, the ones I want to cast on from there, but also I will make a very strong argument for making use of individual patterns on Ravelry, because there's just a wealth of them there. You don't all have to, like, we don't all have to knit the same stuff that is in these magazines that have like maybe 5 to 10 patterns or whatever. Like, we're just all gonna end up making the same stuff. There's so many designs out there and so many designers that I think I want people to make what they want to make. Like, that's kind of like I just talked about with knitting. You have to like it, and I wonder if like everyone makes the same stuff, if everyone likes it. At least I guess I'm just finding a lot of words to just say. Just have a deep dive on Ravelry and look for stuff that you want on your body, in your wardrobe, for your friend or your family member, or on your wall, or on your tape, whatever you're making, you know. It doesn't have to be clothes, just, yeah, it doesn't have to be the same that everyone else is doing, which, I mean, I'm always like just doing what I want, but yeah, we all get carried away, and maybe it's like a moment to look at just finding our niche, maybe. So, whoa, more things that I got in the mail before I left, which was a really nice surprise, because, I mean, I showed some of you this on Vlogmas, but I did say Vlogmas is not going to be something you're going to feel like you're missing out on. By the way, thanks for watching. But anything to do with knitting will come up here at some point. So, I got this from Kate Davies. Now, I am usually someone who, because of budget reasons, I just kind of bought her publications when they come out, like Edinburgh Yarn Festival, or before then when they were in the shops. This was the first time I actually joined the kind of club, the thing where you get the patterns regularly. I mean, due to health issues and stuff, they didn't come out as regularly as planned, but I really didn't mind at all. I think it's perfectly fine to take that kind of breaks and just like, hold up, it's going to be delayed, it's going to last for longer, but I've really enjoyed it. I haven't actually made more than just a hat pattern from this, and I think I've been a member for a year. I think launched maybe even at the end of 2018, if not the beginning of 2019. Like, it's been a long time, and it's been a lot of really good patterns that have come out, and I just keep getting emails and messages and Ravelry like, new Kate Davies pattern. I'm like, each is more gorgeous than the last, like this one. Anyway, let's just do a quick... Oh, by the way, she just announced this Warm Hands collection, which I really want to do some mittens too, because that's kind of my thing, if you didn't know. But I had no good ideas at the time that I felt like I had the time to get around to make. But my friends Sylvia with Cherries on Top 2 and Jeanette Sloan, they're in there and they're posting about on Instagram, so just hop on over there if you're curious. But yeah, in this one there's a lot of Kate Davies' own designs, obviously. This is like a quick sort of knit intarsia stranded thing that I'm curious about, but I'm still a bit careful about the whole intarsia thing personally. We all have our hang-ups. Intarsia is mine, okay, but it is really gorgeous. Then there's this on the front cover. It's probably not focusing, but whatever. And this sweater, which is really nice, quite simple, striped, just yeah. And here's that hat that I made in burgundy and grey, because I am me. It's a really nice hat. I really enjoyed making it. It's gorgeous. So there's a lot of stuff here on very different levels. Anything I would argue is quite beginner friendly, and I will say Kate Davies' owl sweater was my first completed sweater garment. So no matter what level you're at, there will be something in here for you. I'm not just saying that to be like, I don't know. It generally, there's just stuff for, yeah, any level of knitters. Stockinette, garter, stripes, colourwork, stranded, intarsia. She's really covered a lot of grounds. Like, I will say these are probably more sort of beginner friendly, but then she also really uses, kind of uncommonly nowadays, tight gauge. Like, she's sort of more from the traditional background where people knitted stuff a lot tighter than we do today, which is something I talk about a lot. This Norwegian yarns have like changed the gauge on their labels, but this is the same yarn. Like, Per Gynt used to say 24 stitch gauge, and now I hear people say that 22 stitches, which is what it says now, is too tight. And it's like, it used to be way tighter, even tighter than 24. So it's just one of those things. Like, I get quite happy sometimes when I see that there are designers nowadays who will knit stuff tightly, that it doesn't have to be like done super quickly all the time. Like, it can actually be quite dense, firm fabrics, and sometimes that's more suitable for, you know, garments with a bit of structure and tailored features, like also the corset cardigans, for instance. So I just, yeah, makes me happy to see. In terms of what I want to knit from this, I mean, this is a no-brainer. I'm not even going to change the colors. I'm just going to do this. Yeah, everyone's shocked. So that's that. But I was really surprised to find this book come with it, because I knew she was releasing it. I just didn't know it would come with this. That's amazing. And I don't really know what it's about. I've read the blurb, but I don't really know. I think I have to read it to understand it. But I'm going to read it at the back anyway. I'm just going to read the main thing. It's just the definition of the word, but just me reading it over and over again is not going to make anyone happy. In Wheesht, Kate Davies also asks how we might best enable and encourage our creative practice in the face of ambivalence, uncertainty and doubt. At a cultural moment when it seems that creativity can be anything to anyone, Wheesht poses a set of radical and redefining questions. What if, instead of breaking or disrupting, we made a mending and repair the focus of our work? How may creative practices, I've never seen it spelled that way, okay, change if we became more about bringing other people forward than blowing one's own trumpet? What if we stopped wishing for creative freedom and thought much more carefully about what limitation or impediment might have to show us? Might shutting up and handing our Wheesht be, in the end, of as much importance to our creative work as other louder forms of expression? Whether you like creating words or images, sounds or sweaters at moments of uncertainty, it is important to try and find new things to say and different ways in which to say them. With a firm belief that simple acts of making can always make things better, this book is Kate Davies' creative call for all of us to hold our Wheesht and listen before making our work with conviction, with purpose and with heart. And I think this kind of goes hand in hand with her new project of publishing. She wants to do more publishing with Kate Davies and Co, where people who have not yet been published in terms of both knitting and works of words like writing can get first time published. There's a lot more about that on her blog. I'm not sure if the deadline's up yet, but yeah. So it just looks like she's more on a mission of lifting up other makers than just doing kind of the sort of more almost routine that she's been into the past few years of doing kind of a thing like this every year and that's it. She's doing a lot more now. Obviously there's a lot more people working on the team, so that's my guessing without knowing too much because I can't keep on top of what anyone else is doing, let alone myself. So I just want to show you that. It's just really, really cool stuff. And now for Christmas gifts, I got 2 knitting books that I really want to show you. I got one from my mum and one from uncle, and I'm really excited about them. They're both in Norwegian. As far as I'm aware, only available in Norwegian in Norway, but I have hopes that at least one of them will be translated. So let's start with the one that I don't think will be, because the previous 2 have not been, and that is Kofteboken. Today, the 3rd Kofteboken. They keep saying it's the last. I'm gonna assume and hope, kind of selectively hope, that it's because it's just the last right now, that hopefully maybe they will do more in the future, maybe. I just always wanted a red one. They've done blue, they've done green, and this is the yellow one, the kind of ochre one, and I just would like a red one. Anyway, I'm going to show you the content of this majestic piece, because I just love this series. I've got the other 2, like I said. I adore them. I'm going to show you right away the one I want to make, because I'm going to cast it on today, I'm sure. Only reason I'm not casting it on right now is because I'm doing this. It's the most obvious thing I've ever said. Okay, here we go. Look at that. I want this so bad. I just want it so bad. So, and it's in Vilje, which I'm like, did you just write this pattern for me to make? Is that it? Because I just, yes. So I'm just going to show this splash page. This does not actually contain the pattern, just specifications that you can see on Ravelry anyway. Which, by the way, I'm seeing people add it on Ravelry, not for purchase, but just for showing you photos, which I think is always such a smart move. Like, even if you're not selling on Ravelry, you should always add your patterns to the database, just so people can find you if you are designing, even if you're just doing books. That's just, yeah. I also love this sweater. I would do it in other colors for me, but it's just gorgeous. It's not focusing. I'm sorry. You can see them on Ravelry. I'm going to show you this one because, hello, again, did they make it for me or what? Yeah, you know what I mean? Oh. And obviously I really like the one on the cover. I love a lot of the stuff in here, and I really like this. So that's going to go into my shelf next to the other Kofteboken, and I'll have the whole trilogy and hope there will be a 4th one, because I just want one in red. It's just one of those things. So yeah. I also got another yellow book, and I am losing my over this. I just can't. It's everything I want in a book, and I think this might come out in English just because Nina Granlund's previous books have. So. This is a book called Norske Strikketradisjoner. Yeah, Norwegian knitting traditions. And it's big and heavy and mighty. It's like someone's heard my wishes and just put everything in one book. Like, yeah, sure, I got a lot of books on my shelf. There's a lot of like museum kind of books and people write about this stuff, so I can pull stuff from the different books. But this is everything in one. So for anyone's like looked for a book that's just about Norwegian knitting traditions, well, it exists, and it might actually even come out in English. I'm going to try to read the blurb. It is in Norwegian. I'm going to try to translate on the go. We all know how well that's going to go, so just going to, yeah. In this book, Nina has dived down into the history and the hunt for traces that can tell us how the knitting technique came to Norway, spread around, and became part of our national history and identity. What makes knitting so special is that by the help of a long thread and 2 simple sticks, you can, you know, magic away like amazing, fantastic products. You couldn't possibly like find simpler tools than just a pair of knitting needles, and yet it's been possible to create comfortable and functional textiles, both for everyday wear and for parties. Like fest is a bit more formal than a party, but you know what I mean. So she's documenting with the help of text and pictures, photos, textiles in private and official use, and how we, for about 400 years, have worn knitted garments from, you know, the very inner, you know, underwears to outerwear. And already in 1865, Eilert Sundt pointed out that the technique was useful for the poor and comfortable for the posh, basically. That's not the word, but I'm going to choose that word. And yet it's equally, you know, relevant for young and old. Just like, it's a very 19th century way of just saying that knitting is for everyone. But, you know, it's just great. It's just full, it's just proper coffee table book. It's nothing in here I can really show you. It's just full of text and photos I don't obviously want to share without. Yeah. You'll probably hear more about this in the future. I'm probably gonna, it's a resource as much as anything, you know. Thank you, Nina, for making this book. I'm so excited to have it. Just, it's a good one. Yeah, so that's the books. I did buy yarn, of course. It's going to be a lot of the usuals. It's not going to be that much new, but I'm going to spend not so much time on the usuals and a little bit more time on the new. So yeah, the usuals, everyone knows what's going to be. Finull. I got a lot of Finull. I got about 2 of each of these colors. I did get more of the light grey because I used the light grey in a lot. These are not the same. They're just 2 subtly different shades of burgundy, because I basically more or less made Emil of the Sticky Therapy podcast help me choose Vertices Unite colors, because both she and Kristin of the Norwegian Sticky Therapy podcast made really good choices with their shawls, and I love my shawl, and I gave it to my mum because it wasn't quite me, it was more her. So I just want to find my colors, and I think maybe this might be a bit more. So I might do another Vertices Unite. Probably not anytime soon, because I'm not going to do the same pattern that close together. But yeah, so that's why I got a lot of Finull. Also to finish my Christmas sweater that I've kind of put on hiatus because Christmas is over, I guess. But I need more yarn for that anyway, so I got that. I also picked up some more Vilje. This is probably my Desert Island yarn. They have now made it in way more colors. There would have been more Vilje to show you, because that was shipped to my Norwegian address when Hillesborg did their Black Friday sale, where I basically just got the yarns I was already planning on buying. Which was good, because I had no space in my suitcase. So that's why my mom's gonna ship that to me, and it's not here yet. So I can show you that later when that arrives. So I just got more of the colors that I already have because of that sweater in Kofteboken that I just have to make. So yeah, that's basically that. I got 2 of each of these, which was kind of silly because it means I probably have a sweater quantity and a half of this yarn, but I'm assuming that's going to be fine if one has the light grey as the main colour and the other has the dark grey as the main colour. That's actually going to work out pretty well, and I won't have too many leftovers, which really won't be a problem because I work with this yarn a lot. It's the same yarn I did Icelander in, and I'm working on a pattern in it right now that I'm looking at. Yeah. And then I picked up a sweater quantity of something a little bit, it was a bit silly because I can get this yarn elsewhere. I know they ship to the UK and I can get the other yarn in Loop in London, but regardless, I mean, look at this, just look at this, this is so me. This is my favorite color. It's looking a lot more yellow blue now because the light conditions are horrendous, but I mean, so this is Isager Silk Mohair. I've been wanting this for a long time, and yeah, it would be wiser if I used my filled up loyalty card on Loop to buy this, but when you hold these things together, you just have to buy them together. It's not logic, it's just how it is. This is a new yarn to me. This is Knitting for Olive, which I believe is a Danish new kind of company that makes yarn. This is their merino base. They're all kind of either really thick or thin. So this is a light fingering, but I think holding these 2 together is going to make a fairly nice sort of decay. I'm undecided whether to use it for an existing silk mohair pattern or actually make up one of my own. I have already done floof, but I just find like the whole silk mohair thing is, for me, creates this sort of opportunity of playing around more with shape and fit rather than just like trying to feature a texture pattern, a colorwork pattern, or a lace pattern, or cables or something. I can just do stockinette and play around more with the shaping, which is something I never thought I would enjoy, but it's like become one of my favorite things about designing. Like I never start with like a I always thought I would. I thought I would like develop some template patterns and just like keep reusing them, and I never do. I love starting with a blank slate and just filling in the numbers from scratch and never produce the old numbers again. Like that's, I really thought I would just want to make like, this is my fingering weight yoke and just like reproduce, and I don't do that. I keep wanting to do it from scratch every time. So yeah, I might come up with something, and I might knit something that already exists. Who knows? I needed this in my life. Simple as that. So lastly, what I have in my little sort of post-Christmas haul is from my shopping in Oslo. Obviously I've shown you some of the wool I picked up. I picked up the burgundy stuff at Garntopia. I picked up Vilje and Finull at Husfriden. I can recommend both of them. I did also go to Verbit and had like a whole knitting day there. It was really nice, and Verbit is amazing for hand-dyed Norwegian yarn. Yeah, I just didn't end up with anything from there today because I do have a lot of her yarn in the stash. So I can recommend that. But what I also went to is Pickles. Pickles is just down the road from Bladet. Grünerløkka is just the best yarn part of Oslo. And me and Ingvild went in there, and as we were about to leave, after we had like a chat with the shop owners and stuff, they were the people who made the sweater that I finished but can't show you. That's besides the point. We were about to say goodbye, and they just like held this yarn in front of us as we were like holding the door, and they were like, do you want yarn? So they just got this really new to them yarn that they were going to start selling, but it wasn't for sale yet. They just asked us if we wanted to try it, because obviously we both have podcasts, and that's really nice. So it was like this fuzzy wool alpaca terracotta yarn. And we're like, oh wow, thank you, and like again, thanks, you know, ready to go. And they were like, oh, well, you can have all the colours if you want. And we were like, oh, come on, at the back room. And we got to see the box with all the colours, and this gorgeous little adorable dog. Anyway, besides the point. They didn't get all the colours that they were going to sell, I don't think, but there were some selection there, and weirdly enough, I was drawn to the black. So I was like, okay, you can have the black. And I'm like, awesome. And they're like, yeah, but you should probably have two if you're going to make something with it. So you have two. And they were like, you could probably do a garment then. I'm like, yeah, I mean, if I hold it together with pure wool, because like two of these and one pure wool will add up. That's like about 400 meters-ish, a bit less. And they're like, yeah, that's probably enough for a garment. And I'm like, yeah. Although, doing the maths, I'm like, I'm a little bit bigger. I'm probably not quite enough. They're like, okay, have another one. And I'm like, yeah, okay, then I'm just gonna get another, I will just buy another pure wool and I can do some garment, right? It's like, and we were just thinking, I'm like, well, if it's gonna add up, if I'm not gonna have leftovers, I'm gonna use up all the yarn, should probably get one more fuzzy skein. So that's how one terracotta fuzzy alpaca wool became 4 black ones. And as you can see, this one has shrunk quite a bit. And as has this. This is the pure wool, 100% wool, non-superwash, kind of Pickles staple yarn, and I've been knitting on it quite a bit. I did work with this yarn when I made my no frill sweater. I held it double with Sandnes silk mohair. And what I have done, this is the work in progress I'm kind of hiding for last, is developing this chunky black sweater, which just looks like a hole right now. I had a very simple plan of just making a very, very simple contiguous sweater in black that it's just something I'm gonna wear. Like, I don't usually wear alpaca because it's usually quite hot and scratchy for me. So far I'm not having much issue with this yarn. might be because it's just 50% alpaca, and that usually tends to tone it down for me. And I'm using quite big needles, so the fabric is sort of airy, though not as airy as I thought. I think I was like bang on with choice of needles here. So I'm working with contiguous. It's going to have a lot more close to neckline once you pick up the stitches and do a little bit of probably a rib. I toyed with the idea of moss stitch, but I think rib probably be fine. So I'm just working that now. It's just top down contiguous. It's different than floof in many ways. There are more stitches for the shoulder, so you get a bit more of a shoulder cap, like a saddle shoulder. And obviously I'm using 6mm needles. This is chunky. Putting these two fingering weights, so one fingering is a little bit thick and the other one is quite fuzzy, actually creates more of an Aran. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is almost chunky together. If you can see the strand I'm getting holding it together. It's quite thick and fussy. You have to add the fuss as well. So I'm getting this really cool sweater, and it's going to be a pattern, I think. I graded it to 5 sizes that are all very much like positive ease, and it's going to just fit a lot of sizes. And I shouldn't be saying this now, but I'm toying with the idea of making a free garment pattern. Just one free. But I usually say that a garment that I release for free, or a pattern I release for free, is free for a reason. That's why I said in the past, because I didn't really hold myself up to the maybe same professional standard that I do now, and now I just feel very weird about putting up a pattern that has not been tech edited and test knitters, even if it's free. Then I find it hard to justify releasing a pattern that I spent so much time and money on tech editing and test knitting for free. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but if I am interested in hearing how people think it might be feasible to do that. I don't know. If anyone likes to just try out tech editing for free, I mean, that sounds like a horrible thing to like say, because I think you should charge for your work. I'm trying to figure out a good way to do it. How do you like publish a free pattern that is still pretty good without kind of selling yourself short, because I have to pay for the fees that it costs to produce a pattern. It's not a free thing to do. So I might talk a bit more about the process of designing in the future. Just gathering my thoughts right now is just not happening. So, and then it's just like the whole fuss about like, how am I going to photograph this thing? Like, this is like pitch black yarn. I can't see any, you see like the shoulder shaping. I have to like hold it really, really close. I'm still not sure you can see anything. Yeah, let's just see if we can play with the light a bit more. Does that help? You see it? No. Oh, so that's just, why did I choose black? Because that's what I wear. I mean, it's charcoal today, but you got it for your wardrobe. So that's what's happening. Contiguous, potentially free, potentially charged for, depending. Garment pattern. Probably not anytime soon. Well, it's a quick one. I just have a lot of things on, obviously. So, yeah. That's all I have for you guys today, and I'm glad I'm done because it's really quite dark outside now, and this is not ideal light setting. And you guys know I'm just really like bizarrely hung up on these things. Gosh, we've covered a lot of grounds in this episode. It's a lot of lows and highs, everything. What a way to enter the new year. I hope you've had a good time since last time. If not, obviously wish you all the best, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.